On Seder night, when we talk about matzah, it's one of the three things which we have to mention and discuss why we actually eat them and have the mitzvah to eat them on Seder night. We say matzah zu shon oichen al shum ma. Why are we eating matzah tonight? And the answer is al shum shelo hispik b'tzeikon shel aviseinu lahachnitz, because the dough of our forefathers didn't have time to rise. There's a difficulty with that, because if that's the reason for why we eat matzah on Seder night, because the dough of our forefathers didn't have time to rise, why is it that in our parsha this week, in Parshas Bo, Perek Yud Beis, Pasuk Yud Ches, we are told that the Jewish people 15 days before that event took place, when they left Egypt and didn't have time for their dough to rise, were already commanded 15 days before that they were to eat matzah. So why are we eating matzah? Is it because there wasn't enough time for the dough to rise? Or is there another reason? The answer to this is something that we say at the beginning of our Seder every single year. Hol lachma anyo. And we begin by saying, the classic translation is, this is the bread of our affliction. However, Chazal tell us this is also the bread she'oinin olav devarim harbe, about which we answer because of it many things. We give answers to questions. On the one hand, the matzah is to remind us of the time that we were slaves. We were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, where we weren't allowed to ask questions. We weren't allowed to question anything at all. And we certainly weren't going to be receiving answers, as a slave does what he's told, when he's told, and how he's told, without asking any questions. When we left, we became servants of Hashem, and we were allowed to ask questions and discuss and receive answers. So the matzah that we have is for two reasons, and we contrast those two reasons on the Seder night. We remember that on the one hand we were slaves. It's a lechem oni, it's a bread of affliction, to remind us of how terrible a situation we were in, where we weren't able to ask any questions, and certainly wouldn't receive any answers. And on the other hand then, HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim, and today we are Abdei Hashem. We are the children of Hashem, the servants of Hashem, who are able to ask questions, and it's a lechem she'oinin olav dvarim harbe, to ask questions and receive on those questions many answers. That's the privilege that we have today, but we must contrast that with the past and look to the future. So in essence, the matzah that we're eating is a lechem oni. It's a bread of affliction and a bread of freedom, a bread on which we can get many answers. Maybe let's say it's also a bread of a servant. Once we were servants that received no question, we were slaves. Today we're servants who can ask and receive many answers.